invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
God, our divine spirit, we ask you during this holiday season to bless our city, all our city workers. We ask you to bless the residents, and we ask for peace on earth during this season and forthcoming through the year. For this we thank thee. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No. Deja vu. Roll call, Mr. LaCarrie.
Mayor Del Massett,
Here.
Vice Mayor Terrence Rowe,
Here.
Councilwoman Jenny Sorrell,
Here.
Councilman William Dittmer,
Here.
Councilman Richard Bloom,
Here.
City Attorney James Matthew,
Here.
City Manager Vince Lupo.
Here.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a new general public? Anybody have that? Is there one? Anyone from the public like to speak?
Thomas Brown, 7436 Candlelight Court. It rained long and heavy Saturday morning. The city storm drain that I normally keep cleared is on a public easement between 7439 and 7441 Candlelight Court. The street flooded, but I did not want to be caught on the public easement because the city does not allow the public on all of the public easements in the Candlelight subdivision. I wrote to the city manager asking for a list of the public easements that I am not allowed to go on. I hope that the public easement where the storm drain is located is not on the keep off list. I would like to be allowed to clear that storm drain when it becomes clogged. At the November 27th City Council meeting, the City Council voted to cancel 50% of the December City Council meetings. Will the council vote tonight to accept only 50% of their December pay?
Any other people? Moving right along. Bring it to the city manager.
Yes, if it may, Council. Fridays, we have a Christmas event scheduled, weather permitting. Santa will leave approximately 4:30, and we'll be making the rounds through our town, distributing candy to the children. Subsequent to that will be a movie, The Grinch That Stole Christmas, at 6:30 p.m. at the Waterfront Park, along with other events for the children. All of this is weather permitting, and it doesn't look too good at this point. We're just hoping that it will occur. So we've publicized this event. We've put it in our brochures and our newsletter online. Several other entities have picked it up, and we're looking forward to a turnout, hopefully, and the children will enjoy the movie, The Grinch That Stole Christmas. There was a request from the Citizen Action Committee concerning the establishment of a yearly Founders Day. That request has many different sides and aspects to it. The considerations for the ideas brought forward by that very active committee come with a whole host of specific issues that sooner or later this council must come to grips with. And they are almost a requirement to redefine the potential utilization of that waterfront park. Issues such as beer and wine sales, open container laws in this city, who would be sponsors? What are the restrictions concerning sponsors? Vendors, food, types of food, licenses. They talked about establishing folk music. They talked about fireworks that night. They talked about bounce houses. All of these ideas are geared to having a rather spectacular event, but there are issues that have to be raised, and council's direction is going to have to be forthcoming. We are dealing with a piece of property that is under control, not our specific control. Almost every single activity at that park must be presented to the organization called the FCT to be individually approved. So from that end, we intend to work very closely with the Citizens Actions Committee to help redefine their thoughts and ideas, and then to boil it down to some issues to come back to council so that council can make their decisions so that we can then implement them. So I just wanted to speak to that very active committee and to congratulate them on their far thinking. And it will finally allow this community to come to grips with what exactly is the definition of that park and what can we begin to think about its utilization to best benefit the entire community. There are a whole series of other issues that I would like to bring up, but I'll bring them up under the last item, which is update on city projects. There are many different projects. Some are very, very important for this community to know about, and there'll be a project update. And we have some really spectacular news to present to our citizens, and we'll pick that up towards the end of this agenda. So, Mayor?
Okay. Do we need to make any?
Nothing new, no, sir.
We announce
Sir? At the end, I got it for you.
Okay.
Well, that's a big finish.
That is.
Correct.
Any other thoughts?
I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all our citizens, all our staff, and everyone out there. It's been a very long year in some ways, short in others. There's been a lot of sorrow and joy. So if you can be with your families, I will be with mine, my brother for a change, and so it's going to be great. I hope all can do the same. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'm very excited about the CAC, and I hope that this council can do everything in its power to help them succeed in their mission. For a long time, we wanted to make this city outstanding in other ways besides the way it's already outstanding. And one of those is to utilize Waterfront Park. And we're hoping that with their help, we can finally make that happen.
Okay. Any other comments?
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. I'll make sure the committee is aware.
Yeah, I just want to say that the committee who's looking into these events in Waterfront Park, Jocelyn and I had spent quite some time down there in Newport Richey at the Parks and Recreation, with the Parks and Recreation people. And they are a tremendous source of knowledge when it comes to licensing, alcohol, vendors. They've been through this. So rather than the committee trying to reinvent the wheel, they might want to contact Jocelyn, who could put them in touch with the folks down there that we spoke with about getting events established at Waterfront Park. It'll help them tremendously.
certainly will.
Yeah, I will.
That being said, we're moving on.
Sure.
Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're to commercial maintenance standards. Jim, you probably do this, or?
Not into it. I think Dr. Bloom put it on.
Right. So, I don't know if you wanna talk to this?
I've already commented on it, if you want that, but
Oh, yeah, please,
His agenda.
where that came from,
it's
and,
Dr. Bloom's agenda.
Yeah, this
Put it
is,
on.
this is,
be ready for anything?
the commercial maintenance standards that we had handed out to all the council members last week, 2 weeks ago, to review. This actually, is not, something that I put together. I kind of, copied and pasted. It's Newport Ritchie's, maintenance standards for the commercial and not residential, and industrial areas. I think everybody here is aware that we have a huge problem with some of the commercial and industrial areas in the city. And I thought it would be a good idea if we could enact some standards, maintenance standards for them, so it could, so that it would end up in the best interest, welfare, and safety of the residents of the city, and also obviously affect property values.
Right.
And that's why I brought it up, and I hope everybody took a look at it, and if there's any comments.
I was gonna say,
You
I
wanna-
have two just quick items. One, I didn't know, if Mr. Muse, have you had a chance to go through that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, was there anything in there that you would modify or change based on, our little town here?
If I might, Councilman, I'm sorry, Bill. Before we get into those kinds of specific details, and there are many of them, I'm sure Mr. Muse will begin to point some of them out to you. In my opinion, it is absolutely essential that if a council decides to move forward with this idea, and I'm sure council wants to do that, at least it's my opinion, we should have workshops.
That was my second item.
We should clearly have workshops. And to involve both parties. When I say both parties, I'm talking not only the industrial, commercial group of people, but also citizens who may reside in the area or who also may be affected by it. Have a general workshops, and at that point in time, we can come back point by point with the various issues to ensure that the laws that you will eventually enact are compatible to the general consensus of the workshop groups. So before we go into, line for line, as we did in the past, if I can get a consensus of council that they would like to move in that direction, what we'll do is we'll establish workshops and invite various entities to come to those workshops.
Okay, I think the workshop thing is great. I would like to know if the council has any problem with what's in here, so we know where not to go. And it looks like to me, if you're not doing this, I couldn't imagine being in business, but is there anything that is onerous to the council in the present form?
I didn't think so.
I don't have any problems with anything that's on here. I think it's a great outline to hang your hat on and go from there and personalize it to Port Ritchie. If we've got it for our residents, we need it for our businesses.
Okay. All right, so, do I have anybody in the public that wants to speak to this? So okay, we'll move that wrong. I think we want to go in that direction. We have to have Mr. Matthews
If
involved.
we have a workshop,
We have to have a.
So-
I prefer a motion.
I'm getting there, So, do I have a motion and a time specific for that? Or you look at it, and let's just don't kick the can down the road again.
What?
A motion and a time to have this workshop.
Well, everybody's,
Well, there's no sense in coming here
our
and saying,
second.
let's have it, and then
our
going to the next one and saying,
second
let's,
meeting in January,
the what?
the second meeting in January, could we do a workshop prior to, like we've done the CRA meetings?
We can come back with council at that second meeting in January and establish some times. It depends on how many organizations we can contact to be available for a workshop. No sense in us declaring a workshop and no one's going to show up. So we will get with some of the community, find out if they're available, if they can come, and if that number is effective, we will schedule a workshop prior to the meeting. If not, we'll come to council, explain what the issue is, and then establish a workshop at the specific time. So we'll come before you either with a workshop for the second meeting, prior to the second meeting in January, or to explain to council where we're going to go.
All due respect, what are we talking, 70 businesses?
Their availability at that time of year, there are quite a few, but it's both commercial and industrial. We've got all of 19 to be
Right.
involved,
So-
all the businesses.
So we're gonna have a workshop at somebody else's convenience.
No.
And I just don't wanna get back to where we were, which is, we're gonna have a workshop. We're gonna have a workshop.
But it's beneficial to find out when the majority of the people can show up, whether it's 4 or 24.
Mhm.
It'd be nice to know.
So, we're not gonna set a time. You wanna have a motion then, is?
There is no motion now. He's gonna do
Hang
the
on.
legwork first, correct?
It's gonna be extremely cumbersome to get, all the businesses in Port Richey to walk through those doors. There's no question about it. So, you gotta take the bull by the horns here, and I think what you need to do is give it enough time. You say February. If you wanna say February, say February. The first meeting in February, so between now, December, and February, they'll have plenty of notice to be able to attend and show up. And like you say, it could be 4, it could be 24, it could be 44, who knows? And some people may not be interested in those businesses that already are in compliance with this. They're not gonna be here. It's the businesses that are collapsing on the exterior and that are blighted, those are the ones that may be interested in even showing up. But you set a time, you give them plenty of time, and then take the workshop, do the workshop, and we move from there. But to try to adjust our schedule and their schedule, it could be 6 months from now. So I don't think that's proper.
Thank you.
I think set a time, give them plenty of time to show up, and that's the way we should work it. I like the idea of a workshop. I think that's fine. It'll be real interesting. It'll be very interesting. I think more so than the residential workshop. So I'm gonna make a motion to establish the first meeting in February for a workshop for those businesses that would like to attend and discuss the commercial standards.
What day would that be?
That would be February 12th.
February 12th.
That's the one.
And,
Second.
okay, we have a mo-
meeting or before?
Prior to.
Prior to.
Prior to.
we have a motion, we have a second, correct?
Correct.
And we're gonna do a time specific of February 12th. Okay, and how are we gonna advertise that to the businesses?
We'll handle all of that. We'll
Just
advertise.
Have the code enforcement guys
We'll
stick it
have-
in their mailbox.
Well,
Okay?
we also have a different vehicle, but I'll get into that later on.
Okay, we're back to where I expected us to get. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Update of city projects. Stay tuned, folks, it gets better.
Gets better. Council and general public, there's a list of projects that we've been talking about over the past year. We've been working very diligently. Staff has worked very closely, and I'll start to illuminate with respect to some of these projects. Washington Street projects. The Washington Washington Street project is ongoing. We will be opening bids on December 14th with respect to that project. Once we open bids, depending upon the bids, will come back to council and we'll go forward on the reconstruction of Washington Street. It's a project we've been waiting for a long, long time. Associated with that is a sidewalk project. The sidewalk project from Washington down River Gulf to Grand Boulevard, and then from Grand Boulevard to US 19. We have applied for a CDBG funding and submitted our application for it, and we're awaiting their response. We go on to the Waterfront Park, new playground. We've submitted our new location, our location change, and updated management plan to the FCT for their approval. Upon their approval of the modifications, we will submit a funding change request to the Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program, or FRDAP. If both organizations concur, we can move forward with that project. The dog park is in progress with respect to being designed. That design is underway. When completed, we'll be bringing it back to council for council's review. The same with the kayak, mini kayak site in the Waterfront Park. That is being revisited and looked at and will be coming back to council in early January or in late January or early February with respect to that entire kayaks issue.
Is any of the kayak we have usable? Is it movable?
That's something we're looking at with respect to design. We only have, we have two specific kayak launch sites. One is ADA accessible. It's to the left of the park, down the ramp, and it has a floating dock and some equipment with it. There's a small kayak launch that we've attempted to install at the Waterfront Park that's going to require some modifications. So those are the two main. There are several ancillary that are accidental kayak launch sites that people utilize, and we've tried to assist them the best way we can. So there's only those two sites at this stage. With other good news, the water utilities billing transfer process has begun and is progressing in a positive manner. The first full transfer of billing is scheduled for January, and there will be a vast change in the actual bills themselves. They will provide both the recipient and the city with more information, more billing options, and special notices. And I'd like to distribute an example of what the new bills would look like, and to explain some of the advantages of the new bill site, the billing. So the new bill, this is essentially a copy of an example of what a new bill would look like. It's no longer going to be that little card that goes out with a little bit of information. It's a rather comprehensive format that provides more information to our customers, more information so that they can use and better plan what their schedules are. It also provides several different mechanisms for how it can be paid, how your bills can be paid, whether you come here, whether you go to the bank, whether you use credit cards, computer billing. Also, there are sections in here for information that will be provided, general notices, general information, assistance. It's quite a detailed process and quite in advance from where we were not too long ago. You'll be able to pay at the bank, you'll be able to pay over the phone, you'll be able to pay with a credit card, you'll be able to pay in person. There are many different options that this new system provides, all at a cost savings and benefit to the city in itself. So it was a great amount of work by our former utilities people, our current utilities people, our finance department, involving computer compatibilities, program compatibilities. So we anticipate the first billing in January. We look forward to that.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
With this first billing in January, it says e-statements, will they be available at that time or shortly thereafter? Paperless?
Yes,
It'll all be ready to go then?
yes, sir.
Okay. And then I have one other question.
Yes, sir.
Will the bills be less?
Sir,
There'll be a surcharge in the bill.
I
sir,
think that should be on the next agenda.
It's coloring.
sir, this council last year did not put in a 5% water rate hike. It did not put in a 5% water rate hike this year. But we'll be working at the next budget, and if you'll take a look a little further in our reports, our water production continues to be quite outstanding. Our water quality is improving. Our distribution system is improving. Our purchased water is absolute minimum that that the contract requires. So there is a possibility that council may wish to consider.
Wait, is there a service charge for using a credit card?
It's $2 or 3% of the balance, whichever's greater. That's
Which
any
one?
credit or debit card.
Okay, I don't know, I don't feel really good. What about when I send you guys a check, and do I get charged for that?
No.
Okay.
So there's
Any
a
other
charge for
thoughts?
e-billing, are you saying? Not paperless billing, there's no charge for that? Okay.
No.
So in other words, just coming in and paying or submitting your credit card payment?
Or going to the bank and paying.
Or, okay.
Or you can just send them 500 of them until you wait till it's over and send them more. That's the easiest one. Okay.
So we'll be trying out the billing system. It'll go out January. We expect some glitches here and there, but basically, we'll be working through them, and we would hope for a rather positive outcome. The 19 median landscaping project, it is progressing to the point where we are preparing bidding documents. And that, we can do that because we have received approval from FDOT of the project plans itself. So that median project is moving forward. There's a rather important issue that'll be coming up before council in the not too distant future, and it's called CAD system. The CAD system is the computer-aided dispatch project, and it's proceeding, and staff will be visiting several locations to view firsthand its applicability for our city's needs. This project could cost approximately, and it's budgeted, up to $150,000, and is funded with various funds, a penny for Pasco and police confiscations. None from ad valorem funds. The project is essential because our current system is failing and can no longer be properly sustained. So we will be going to some of the communities that already have it. We'll witness it firsthand. We'll get as much information as we can prior to coming back to council for council's consideration of this issue in order to move forward with our computer dispatch program.
I just want council to be advised, hello, wake up. This median landscape thing we took was restricted by the height of the trees because of a very vigorous lobby, I guess, from the people that own the big billboards. I just want them to know that. I don't think there's anything we can do about it.
No. The Pine Hill Road repairs. Vice Mayor brought this up at the last council meeting, that there were problems with Pine Hills. Right after the Vice Mayor brought the issue up, our people went up and to the best extent possible, we did our side as best we possibly could with patches. But then the county has gone out there and completed a lot of the work. Mr. Hughes contacted and worked with Mr. Floyd Wilson, the county public works manager, so that they can complete that project along Pine Hill. And I'm sure that the people out there are appreciative to the Vice Mayor and for getting that brought to our attention and the repairs
So are they going to do more to that?
There will be more, we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Now, as anybody who's driven up and down Old Post, and in particular, I might mention the Vice Mayor, and Ms. Sorrell, among others, the repairs to the bike and hike trail along Old Post can now be completed properly. It's only been patch repairs to date. And that's because the connection at Old Post and Bay to the sewer line has finally been finished and completed. Mr. Hughes will be paying close attention to the repairs, and I'm sure that Vice Mayor Rowe will also be assisting in that vigilance. So we anticipate that once attractive bike and hike trail will be brought back up to its former appearance and enhanced. So we're looking forward to that. Not too long ago, our council, Sal, if you would pass those documents out, our council had enough foresight to pass a residential minimum standards project. And I'd like to present to council some visual results of the implementation of our new residential maintenance program. We are making improvements one step at a time, allowing homeowners plenty of time to adjust to our new our new maintenance requirements. You have a whole bevy of before and afters of specific results of your new program. Little by little, the city is moving in a direction to get it out of its old doldrums and back into the new code compliance. And by using the term code compliance and not code enforcement, but in fact compliance is indeed enforcement.
And you did it all without going to anybody's home, right?
And we did that all without our
I'm sorry, I had
police
to go there.
department invading the privacy of any individual and breaking down the doors. Although I must say that very recently our police department has been extremely active with reference to illegal activities occurring in our community, and to that extent they have in fact broken a door down or two, but totally legally within the jurisdiction of the police department. Last week we distributed a holiday newsletter, which has gone out, and I would like to compliment staff on the quick work in getting this out, and I think it's rather attractive, if I must say so myself. Ms. Martinez has a lot to do with that. I'm very, very pleased to announce, and in particular for the people of Candlelight Court, I'm pleased to announce that the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners passed item number C16 this afternoon. That item approval means that finally the Orange Grove repair project for Candlelight Court has been approved and will soon be underway. On behalf of the residents of Candlelight Court and our city council, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners and County Administrator Dan Biles for their help in making this project a reality. I would also like to express my appreciation to our city attorney, Mr. Jim Mathau, for his invaluable assistance during my negotiations with Mr. Biles and other members of his staff. To that end, finally we have we have taken up the cry of Orange Grove and the damage to our residents, and we finally made it work. Vice Mayor Rowe has been on top of the issue. We've been all over it. This council has moved forward. They've given us the authorization to make the negotiations possible and feasible. So this council should be complimented on what they've done in order to achieve this goal at virtually no real expense to the city itself. Finally, I would like to inform the public of some recent events that we've been waiting for a very long time. But I believe that announcement should come from our mayor, Dr. Dale Massett. You might want to think about that.
Okay, I'll read, no, I'm not gonna read this. After all these years, we've conquered all the Army Corps, details. We are back to permitted, correct? The dredge is on. And, Mr. Lupo, thank you for it as well. Okay, and I just wanted to say earlier on your other thing with, for Candlelight, Dr. Bloom and I went all the way to Dade City to give them the support.
Correct.
And, I don't know if no, they didn't have that on the agenda, so I won't say anything, go forward.
The Corps of Engineers finally has come through. They've given us a document that releases the dredging. We are working with the engineers to complete any minor details and adjustments that are necessary. Once this is completed, we go to the county to ensure that the county, who is a funding mechanism through the Restore Act, is on board. We have already been working in advance with our engineers of record, Dewberry, to prepare to get the bidding done. The actual working documents, planning documents done, so that once we get approval from the county, we'll move forward as quickly as possible into the bidding process, and we will be finally in a position to go out to bids and to begin the dredging of channels 118 and 26A. So it's a promise that this council has made for many years. With the acquisition of the DMMA site, with the dredging of Channel 19 in preparation for future dredging, and now finally the Corps' concurrence in our permit, we can move forward with this major issue, major project. We'll be utilizing the Restore Act funds to the tune of approximately $666,000. We'll move forward with the project. We have, it's on a reimbursement basis. That's why we have been husbanding funds, so we can come back to be able to pay and then get reimbursed, and then from that point on, go back to the Restore Act group and seek additional funds for additional channels and additional work until we turn that waterfront and those channels into navigable assets for the entire community, because once that occurs, all property values in the city, whether on the channels or not, will increase. So it's a monumental event for this community that you've been working for since approximately 2000. And that is about all that I can say for this year, other than to wish everyone a super Merry Christmas and a wonderful, wonderful, healthy New Year.
Okay, and to all those naysayers on the dredge, I want to just point out that probably 70 to 80% of the people, and maybe a little less than that, have been on those waterfront canals paying higher taxes and not being able to use their water. So I really don't want to hear it from anyone. I'm not one of those, luckily, so I could push this forward, but those people all deserve it, and the residents not on the water will also feel the increase in waterfront and property.
One other issue, and I would like to bring it up, in your books are the reports from the various department heads. If you have any future questions, please let us know directly, and we'll make sure that it changes. I know that Dr. Bloom had a question with respect to dates. Councilman Dittner had a request about some additional information from the police department. We'll get to all of that. And Chief, if you would just kindly make as brief remarks as possible. I know that there's issues still under investigation, and you're limited into what you can say, but I would like I would like to recognize our police department and their most recent efforts and the manner and professionalism they demonstrated with respect to the specific issue out in the Candlelight Court area. Chief, if you
Absolutely,
would,
thank
please.
you. This is a perfect example of if you see something, say something. The residents came to us with information. The address is 5943 Lantern Court. There was evidence of prostitution and drug trafficking going on in this residence. Officer Howard, when the calls came in, Officer Howard took the lead on it, was able to take the information that he gathered and bring it to the court, and a judge signed a search warrant. Last Wednesday at about 11 o'clock, we went in, we executed the search warrant, collected a good amount of drugs, drug paraphernalia, and there's another segment to this that's still under investigation. We only brought in Newport Richey for a canine. We did it all on our own this time. And also, Pasco County Vice was also receiving calls about this residence. Yesterday, we effected one arrest. The homeowner was arrested for the drugs, and there's still an ongoing investigation for the prostitution. So it's perfect. The neighborhood got together. They helped us with the information. They collected plate numbers and tag numbers for us. So it just went perfect.
Thank you, Chief. Counsel, it's all yours.
Any other issues?
I had one question.
Yes, sir.
Chief, it looks like our noise complaints really went up.
They did, yeah, they did. I'm gonna have to look
Do
into
we have a
where they,
breakdown? Yeah.
I know one of the
I think
noise.
we went from 4 to like 97.
Yeah. I know one of them is a garbage truck backing up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, and the alarm
I hear
was,
that one too.
they wanted to
gotta
know
be
if
my
you,
neighbor.
oh, that's no joke, that's
Yeah.
true. So I'm gonna have to look into this and see why the spike.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
97. But the 97 noise complaints from the one truck? Just one of them. Was it a lot of it from the waterfront overlay district?
I'm gonna look into the ground and just all the stats on it.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Nope. Mr. Brown, tell everybody out at Candlelight that I said, see, there is a Santa Claus. Thank you again, staff, for all the hard work this year, and we'll look forward to doing more next year.
Okay. I have none.
can wait until next year.
All right.
Motion to
That is
adjourn?
all unless you want, I'm sorry. She's the one-
Mr.
one-
Bloom?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Motion to adjourn?
second.
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.